Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing good. So today we will discuss about what is inner classes in Java and how to use inner classes in Java. So like let me tell you there are two things which every class have like methods and variables. Okay. So let me create a variable here int a and int b. These are variables and public void so this is a method. We can do whatever we want to perform. Like in create a main method, create a main method. Inside main method, we are going to create our outer class object. So UTR outer class object, and using this object, we can call our variables or methods. UTR outer dot show. Okay. We are working doing like this. So there is a question like we are creating variables, like we are creating methods here. Can we create a class inside a class? So the answer is yes, we can create a class inside a class. So let me create a class class name is start with capital letter. This is the naming convention you should follow. Inner class, you can see there is no syntactical error here, and we can perform whatever actions we want to perform. Like I am just printing here like I can create a method. I want to public method, so public void and just show, and inside this method I'm just printing inside inner class. Okay, so public is like this. Okay, this is my inner class, this is my outer class, and this inner class is inside my outer class. So there is one more question like earlier we are just creating an object for that particular class and just access that variables or that methods. So can we do for inner class for can we do same for inner class? So let's try inner inner class, just making object of inner class, and it's equal to new inner class. You can see it is giving error, like no enclosing instance of type outer is accessible, must qualify the location with an enclosing instance of type outer. So like we cannot use this like we cannot access inner class using this way. So how can we achieve that? So for that we need to just use, because that inner class is in our outer class, so we have to use our inner class for as a reference. So we can find outer class because it is your in like it like we can find our outer class using this object because this is in our scope. But in order to find inner class, it is inside the outer class. The way you can create the inner object by specifying that it belongs to the outer class. So how you can do that? Like we have to write outer for as a reference, outer dot inner class, and then make an object for this inner class, and then just take a object of outer class dot in dot new inner inner class. So this is the way you can create object of that inner class. So let me just explain this. This is the outer. I am taking reference of outer class to call inner class to making inner class object, and this is the object of outer class using to just create a constructor for that inner class. So when we create this is responsible for this is when we are making this, it creates a constructor for us. So for creating a constructor for inner class, we can use outer class object. So using this way, you can call that particular any like for like you can access variables and access methods. So let me show you obj dot show. Let me run this. You can see inside this inner class. So for to call inner class to process to call inner class, we need to just use outer class for reference and outer class object to make constructor. So after that, we can use that object to call inner class variables or inner class methods. We can access whatever we want to access. Okay. So the way we call method by using object to access their inner class. So this is basically a reference. So in order to use inner class, the class itself we have to use outer class, but in order to create object of inner class, we need to use object of outer class. So let me repeat these things again. In order to use inner class itself, we have to use outer class. Okay. But in order to create object of inner class, like we want to make object for inner class, we need to use object of outer class. Okay. So if you want, I can write for you like in order to use inner class, the class itself, we have to use outer class, but in order to create object, just ignore spellings if I am writing anything wrong. But in order to create object of inner class, inner class, we need to use object of outer class. So outer outer class. Okay, so maybe it will make sense to you. So in this way you can do like there are three types of inner classes we can use. We can use like we have member method. We can have member method. We can have static methods. Like we can say we are talking about class, so we can say like member class or static class. Then is one more thing like anonymous class. We are discussing. We will discuss that later after just understanding what is interfaces and abstraction in Java. So in this video, we are talking about member class and static class. I have already shown you how member class works. Like let me tell you, like this method is called member method. Okay, these variables are called member variable. Member variable, and this particular inner class is called member class. Okay, point to remember this one is member b. Yeah, this one is member variable. This one is member method. Whatever method you are creating inside your class, that's called member method. And inside a class, if you are going to create any other new class, that's called member class. Okay. So we have already done about member class. Let's see how static class works. So for that, Then there is one more question like you can ask then why we need to create inner class if we can make any other class. So in order to like we can make any other classes and we can use that class in outer class. Then why we need to create inner class? But the thing is, sometime there is a requirement that you need a class only for that specific purpose. For example, you need inner class only for outer class. There is no any specific purpose for inner class. The only purpose is work with outer class. In that case, we can use inner class. Otherwise, we can create any other like any other classes, separate classes, and we can use that separate class in our outer class. So this is the answer for that question, like why we need to create inner class. So if a class have only single purpose like a requirement which have any specific purpose, then we can use inner class. Like in this scenario, I am taking inner class for just showing a single method using outer class. So in these cases, we can use inner class and we can also use outer class for the same, but still this we can use in for a single purpose or only dependency to show whatever outer class will work. In that case we can make any like we can make inner classes, and if you want you can use outer classes. So let's understand how many classes are there creating we are getting classes are there. Like there is a class inner demo. It will when we the number of classes in your file will define the number of class file in your file. So let me just explain this how what I'm telling. Like inner demo is inner file, like it make as it will create a file inner demo.class. Okay, it like the same name it takes to save our file in our file. And for outer it saved as outer dot class, and for inner class it is saving like outer dollar inner dot class. Why we are taking outer? Because we are taking reference so that this inner class is inside outer class. That's why we are using dollar sign in between outer and inner, so that it will represent like this inner class belong to the outer class. So please please check this in your file in your src in SRC, go to src and check your file names in your files. So you will get more understanding about this, like how it will work with inner class, how like our file work with inner class, how what the name are saved for these inner classes in our file. So let's discuss about static classes. So let's see, can you make a class static? Like earlier, we can make a variable static. Sorry, small letters. We can make a method static, and like that we can make a class static. So yeah, when we make a class static, this one is called static class. When you make a class static, so how we are going to call that, but call that class? So you can see we are getting error here because illegal in closing instance specification for type outer dot inner class. Why it is giving error? Because we have earlier seen why what is static. Like when we make a variable or method static, we don't need to use object. We can just use a class name to just access that. So in this case I can use outer dot new, like outer dot instance obj is equal to new inner new outer. Sorry, we cannot take outer here. We can just take new uh, outer dot inner class. Using this way, we can create a object of static classes, which is in like static inner classes, which is in our outer class. So if you have a static class inside a class, like if you have a static inner class inside a class, then in that case we are taking a reference of outer class dot inner class and making object of that. And then new, we don't need to use, for static we don't need to use object, so we can go for class. Then our class name is outer, then outer dot inner class. Because why are we are using outer here? Because this inner class is inside in like this inner class is inside outer class, and we are taking outer out, and it is treating this as a member method, but here it is a member class. So and we are also making an object for that, so that we are also making a constructor for that using new keyword, because it will allocate a memory to this. So for this we are using outer dot inner class. So point, remember, there are three types of like three types of inner class, like anonymous, like member class, anonymous class, and a static class. Let me write anonymous for you. ANONYMOUS, anonymous class. We will discuss about this later when we learn what is interface and what is abstraction in Java. We'll discuss this later, but for now we have already discussed about member classes. So point to remember, inner class have three, like inner class have three basic classes, like member classes, static classes, and anonymous classes. Member classes we can make without static, we have already seen member classes. And when we use static, we can make a class static using static classes. But when we are make a class static, we don't need to use object, we can use a class name. If we are making we are not using static, or like we are using member classes, in that case we need to use object to call that particular method or particular class. So I think that's all for this video. Try to do some more problems, then you'll get more clarity about this. So that's all for this video. Thank you, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.